Monopoly recently released its first Melbourne version of the game, which will be available in all participating Melbournes.
The tokens that have been selected to represent our lovely city. A little book that kind of looks like a Bible, a tram, file app, a spray paint and a little coffee cup, and a football.
Now, not all of those pieces are uniquely Melbourne. Like, other cities have books and coffee. But they did make the tram uniquely Melbourne, because if you look closely, inside you'll see a bogan yelling at an Asian man to speak English proper. In fact, they shouldn't have used a tram at all. To make it uniquely Melbourne, they should have just put a rhinoceros on a skateboard. Now, Lord Mayor of Melbourne, Robert Doyle, was there to promote the release of the board game. And you can tell he was excited for this because a month earlier he was photographed at Derby Day, already getting into the role of a rich fat cat. Now, it was strange timing for the release of a game in which the goal is to buy property in Melbourne, because Melbourne, like many capital cities, is undergoing a housing affordability crisis. There was some controversy when Cherry Bar, a live music venue in Melbourne, was allegedly offered a spot on the Melbourne Monopoly board for $15,000. Now, that might seem like a lot of money, but that's actually about the going rate for a 2 centimetre by 5 centimetre block of land in Melbourne anyway. Now, if Monopoly wanted to make its game truly reflect what it's like buying property in an Australian capital city, they would have made every property on the board cost at least $1 million, and each player would begin with a $20,000 hex debt. And of course, each time you go around the board, instead of collecting $200, you just pay that in rent. And every community chest card would have a picture of Joe Hockey smoking a cigar saying, "Get a good job that pays good money." Now look, there are many reasons why the cost of housing has increased, but one of the main reasons is due to a thing called negative gearing, which sounds like the title for the most boring James Bond movie ever. Now, negative gearing refers to buying a second property and incurring a short-term loss to obtain a tax benefit, but later selling that property at a profit. It makes buying your second, third or fourth house a lot easier. I'll have that house geared. Negatively. A lot of effort for one joke, but I'm happy with it. We'll cut that when it goes to air. Now, the people who are typically purchasing these investment properties are our parents, the baby boomers. As they buy up more property, it becomes more difficult for the next generation to buy their first house. It's kind of like playing Monopoly with your parents, which already sounds bad enough. Then imagine only entering the game once your parents already own everything on the board. So you have to pay a huge amount of rent to stay in a share house with Jeff, who never wears a shirt and likes to practice the keyboard at 3 a.m. And to make things worse, you have to listen to your parents' stories about how back in their day, they bought their first house for £14 and a bale of hay. Accounting for inflation, that's about $200 today. So that's why young people are staying at home for longer or moving back in when they can't afford rent. Because right now, the only strategy that Generation Y has for owning their first house is to wait for their parents to die. Look, every now and again, a story surfaces of how a young investor managed to buy their first property at 18, like Nathan Birch. Now, I already don't like this guy because he dresses like he plays polo. The only thing that can make him more annoying is if he pulled out his handkerchief to reveal that it was connected to an endless chain of other multicoloured handkerchiefs. Now, Nathan Birch says that he learned about the property market while working for a real estate agent. But not every person wants to become a real estate agent just so they can buy their first house. In the same way that not everyone wants to become a chef just so they can buy food. Or take Stephanie Brennan, for example, another young investor, pictured here summoning her army of cats. Stephanie Brennan bought her first property at the age of 22 and now owns 6. One of her tips for buying property, according to an article that she wrote in, was to save money by skipping expensive takeaway coffees. I'm not sure she's talking about buying a house or a concert ticket. Now, before becoming a property investor, Stephanie Brennan worked for money-saving expert Bronwyn Bishop. Stephanie must have learned a lot about saving money while Bronwyn was giving her a lift home in her helicopter. Now, in this article, Stephanie went on to say that people can save money by giving up Foxtel or other cable services for cheaper versions, which is a bit patronising. Nobody has ever said, I never thought I'd be able to enter the housing market, but after closing my Netflix account, I could finally afford to buy my first 6 properties. Hey, I never saw the end of Orange is the New Black, but we all have to make sacrifices for our dreams, you know. Look, Stephanie Brennan is not exactly someone who made it all on her own anyway. She went to a private school, she inherited a $50,000 plot of land from her grandparents, and when she purchased her first property, she persuaded her mother to be the $60,000 guarantor to avoid paying the deposit. Come on, kids, anyone can become a property tycoon. All you need is a bit of hard work, a dream, and be born into a rich family. Look, the stories of Nathan Birch and Stephanie Brennan create the impression that anyone can do it, when that's not the case. If we want to make it possible for first-home buyers to enter the market, reconsidering negative gearing is a good first step. Because right now, Australia is looking like real-life Monopoly, and a lot of people in Generation Y are landing on the square that says, move back in with your parents. Guys, that is our show for tonight. Now, keep tweeting at us at #YourLeaks to let us know what you thought of it. I think we still have a few more tweets coming in. Are they still coming in? Or hopefully we've cut them, hopefully. I'm being told we've got one. Yeah, this is the best episode of The Verdict ever. Okay, that's it's pretty harsh. Guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.